She gave tea to a homeless black veteran every Sunday. One morning, the US Navy shut down her street. He was already sitting there when I opened the shop that morning. Hood up, same beat-up army jacket, steam rising from the sidewalk like the city itself was trying to breathe. "Morning, Miss G," he said, without looking up. I didn't even flinch anymore. It was routine. Sunday, same bench, same man, same tea. "You want the usual?" I asked, halfway unlocking the door. He smiled, not with his mouth, his eyes. They were tired, but kind. Wouldn't dare start my Sunday any other way. I brought him a styrofoam cup filled with chamomile, extra honey, just the way he liked it. No sugar. Said it messed with his nerves. But here's the thing. I never asked his name. For 4 years, every Sunday, never once asked. He told me things, though, little things, about how he used to build radio systems on Navy ships, about his daughter, Brielle, about the lake house in Georgia he used to fish from before everything went sideways. He didn't go into detail, but you could feel it, like every sentence came with a weight tied to it. Sometimes he'd say stuff that made no damn sense, like, "If they come looking for me, just say I moved to Arizona." Or, "You ever hear radio static in your dreams? Means you're about to remember something they tried to make you forget." You'd think he was just off, but something about the way he carried himself, the way he sat straight even when nobody was watching, it stuck with me. Then there was last Sunday. He didn't show. First time in 4 years. I thought maybe he was sick, or maybe, and I hate myself for thinking this, maybe he just moved on. People do. Then came Monday, 6:42 a.m., whole street blocked off, cops at both ends, Navy trucks, suits, no markings. I'm talking real blackout level stuff, like a scene from a spy movie. And my bench, his bench, was gone. Just gone. No debris, no bolts, just smooth concrete like it was never there. I walked straight up to one of the guys, this bald dude with a clipboard and earpiece. "Excuse me, what's going on?" He didn't even look up. "Just routine city work, ma'am." City doesn't roll in with military trucks. That man sat there every Sunday. He finally looked at me. Looked at me. "You don't want to get involved in this." That's when I knew. He wasn't just some homeless guy, and I was in something way deeper than tea and conversation. You ever get that feeling? Like you've been looking at something simple for so long, and then suddenly you realize it's part of something huge. Yeah. That! Okay, now what would you do? Would you let it go? Would you ask more questions? Would you risk your quiet little life for a man you barely knew? Because I didn't think I would. But then I got the letter. No stamp, no address. Just one line inside. "They know you know me." It wasn't mailed. That was the first thing I noticed. It was tucked into the screen door of the shop. No envelope, no handwriting, just typed, like someone didn't want me to recognize anything personal. No fingerprints either. I checked. Maybe that sounds crazy, but when your Sunday tea buddy vanishes and the Navy erases a bench, you stop assuming things are normal. I locked the door behind me, made the tea, just out of habit. I was shaking so bad I spilled honey on the counter. Didn't clean it, just left it there like my brain couldn't prioritize sticky surfaces anymore. I sat down in the back room and stared at the note. "They know you know me." Who was they? Why now? You ever think back on conversations you had with someone, and suddenly all the weird little things they said feel like pieces you didn't realize were part of a puzzle? That's what happened next. Every Sunday came rushing back. That one time he told me not to trust vending machines in government buildings. I laughed at the time. Or the day he asked if I'd ever heard of Project Shale. I thought it was a band. God! I opened my laptop, typed Project Shale. Nothing, just some geological stuff. But the autocomplete, it added Project Shale plus veteran disappearances. And then the browser shut itself. Not froze, not crashed, just closed. No error. That's when I heard the knock, 3 short ones. Not like a customer. Too soft, Too careful. I walked to the door, and through the tiny crack in the curtain, I saw her. A girl, no older than 16, maybe 17, skinny, hoodie too big for her, holding a red binder like it was all she had left in the world. She looked up, and for a second, I don't know how to explain this, but I knew. Brielle, his daughter, the one he always talked about but never showed a picture of. I opened the door. She stepped inside fast, like she thought someone was watching. She didn't say hi, didn't smile, just sat, and said, "My dad told me you'd help. You ever have your lungs forget how to work?" That's what it felt like. I wanted to ask a million questions, but I just stood there, one hand on the door, the other holding that note like it was some kind of shield. "He's not dead," she said, like she was reading my mind. "But they're trying to erase him, like, really erase him. Not just arrest him, not just lock him up. Erase, like he never existed." I asked her who they were. She opened the binder. It was full of photos, not of him, not directly, but of ships, surveillance vans, old black and white documents, some redacted, some not. One had a circle around a line that said, "Subject reprogrammed, failsafe active, civilian contact flagged." Another had a timestamp, last Sunday, and the words, "Extract from bench. Phase 2 begins." That's when I started shaking again. Because I realized something. I was part of Phase 1. She looked up at me and said, "I need you to come with me. Tonight." What would you do? Would you follow a teenager with a binder full of classified secrets? Would you pretend this wasn't happening? Or would you walk straight into something you knew you couldn't walk back from? I didn't answer. I just grabbed my coat. We didn't take the main streets. Brielle led me through alleys, behind dumpsters, across a parking lot that reeked of fryer oil and wet cardboard. She moved like she knew every blind spot in the city. Like this wasn't her first time being followed. She didn't say much, just kept glancing over her shoulder like she expected something to drop from the sky. "I have a place," she said, "but we don't stay long. Ever." That "we" stuck out. But I didn't ask yet. The place turned out to be an abandoned laundromat 2 blocks from the train yard, windows boarded up, graffiti on the walls. But the door had a new padlock, and when she opened it, I saw what was inside, and I'll never forget it. Maps, old radios, a cot in the back, solar-powered batteries, a cracked monitor showing 4 separate black and white live feeds. Street corners, rooftops. One of them was outside my shop. "You've been watching me," I said. I wasn't angry. I wasn't scared. I just wanted to understand. She didn't deny it. "My dad told me you were the only one who never asked for anything in return." Then she sat down and opened the binder again, slid out a folded photo. Old, faded. Looked like it had been taken decades ago, but one of the faces was unmistakable. It was him, my Sunday tea guy, but younger, in full Navy uniform, and next to him, the same bald man I saw last week. Clipboard, earpiece. Brielle tapped the photo. "That guy's not just some handler. His name's Colburn. He was my dad's commanding officer. Then they put him in charge of the cleanup division. He's the one who gives the order when someone becomes a liability." I asked what her dad did that made him a liability. She took a breath, like she'd been holding it for years. He remembered. Remembered what? They told him he was just a tech, you know, radios, wires, signal towers. But it wasn't just Navy ships. They had him on private islands, underground sites. They'd fly him in blindfolded, and all they said was, "Patch the signal, stabilize the feed." He didn't even know what he was connecting. Until one day, he traced it back. To what? She looked right at me. To people, dozens of them, hooked up to machines, living, barely, monitored 24/7, some missing for years, some declared dead, but alive. I didn't know what to say. Like, what do you even do with that? She kept going. They called it cognitive broadcasting. some new military thing, using memories, feelings, trauma as data, like weaponizing emotion. They tested it on veterans because who's going to listen to a homeless guy ranting about dreams and radio waves, right? That hit me hard, because I had done that too, not out loud. But I'd dismissed him sometimes, thought maybe he just needed meds, or help, but never. Truth. Brielle walked over to the monitor, pointed at one of the feeds. That's Colburn's car, black sedan, parked, engine off, right near the shop. They don't raid right away. First they watch, wait for panic, wait for mistakes. She turned to me. I need you to be calm. I need you to trust me. And I need you to see something. Then she pulled out a small metal case from her backpack, opened it. Inside was a flash drive and a folded napkin, the same napkin I used every Sunday to hand him his tea. I always wrote a note on it. Stay warm. Don't let the world win today. You matter. Dumb little things. This one just said, You okay, friend? Brielle held it up. He kept everyone. I couldn't speak, because in that moment something broke in me. I had never thought I meant anything. Not really, but I did. To him. And now. He was out there somewhere, erased, hunted, maybe worse. I looked at Brielle and asked the only thing I could. What do we do now? She smiled, not with her mouth, just her eyes. We show them what he remembered. We had to go underground, literally. There's this tunnel beneath the train yard. Most people think it's sealed, and it is, unless you know the bolt trick on the second vent shaft. Brielle did. She climbed down like she'd done it 100 times. I hesitated, not because I was scared of tight spaces, but because it hit me. This was real. I wasn't just helping someone's daughter anymore. I was now in the middle of a government erasure job, and I was choosing to go deeper. When my feet hit the ground, it was damp, cold, smelled like copper and mold. But down there, it was quiet. Safe. The only light came from Brielle's headlamp, bouncing off rusted pipes and graffiti older than both of us. She led me to a room, more like a carved-out shelter. There was a projector, a battery pack, and a table covered in notebooks and wires. This is where my dad used to come before they got close. It's all here, she said. But I don't know how to put it together. She handed me the flash drive again. It's encrypted, but it's not code. It's rhythm. He said it's like a song only a few people know how to hear. That made no sense. Until I remembered. One Sunday, he asked me what my favorite jazz record was. I said, Coltrane. He smiled and said, You ever hear Naima backwards? I thought he was just messing with me. But now, I pulled out my phone, searched for the track, slowed it down, played the reverse. It sounded like noise, like chaos. But then something clicked. I heard it, not in words, but in patterns. Brielle saw my face change. You're hearing it, aren't you? I nodded. And suddenly, it all made sense. The flash drive wasn't storing files, it was storing sound-triggered keys, audio encryption, old-school spy stuff. So simple, nobody looks for it anymore. We hooked it up to her laptop, synced the track, and waited. It took 12 seconds. Then, the screen flashed white, and then, there he was. A video. Grainy. Time-stamped 6 months ago. He was sitting in a room, looked like a bunker. Same jacket, same voice. If you're watching this, they've either taken me or they're about to. But that's not what matters. What matters is the truth. Not just what they did to me, what they did to all of us. He leaned in, eyes hard. They used us, our memories, our trauma. They said it was for defense, for national security, but what they really wanted was control. He looked off to the side, like someone else was in the room. They built systems that run off of pain. Do you understand that? Pain. Human pain. They feed it in, amplify it, bounce it off satellites, and turn it into mass behavior triggers, protests, fear waves, economic shifts. And when one of us starts remembering too much, they clean the slate. He held up a device, small like a hearing aid. This was in my ear for 4 years before I ever noticed. Then, the screen cut to static. Brielle slammed her fist on the table. That's not the end. There's more. There has to be more. But I didn't need more. I believed him, because I'd seen it. How people on the edge never seem to get heard. How the ones with the worst wounds are the first ones we dismiss. And now we had proof. But it wasn't safe to sit on it anymore. I asked her what we were supposed to do. She looked at me and said, "We upload it. Public server, mirror it. Spread it so wide they can't scrub it." I said, "They'll trace it." She nodded. "That's why we use your shop. Static IP, open Wi-Fi. They'll assume it was just another homeless guy passing through." I laughed, not because it was funny, but because suddenly, my little tea shop mattered. It was ground zero now, and I had no idea if I'd survive what came next. You ever stand right on the line between your old life and the part where everything changes? That's where I was. And once we crossed it, there was no going back. We waited for the sun to come up, not because we were scared of the dark. That part was over. But because timing mattered. Early morning meant traffic, noise, cover. It also meant Colburn's crew would be shifting out. That's when gaps form. We climbed out the tunnel at 6:12 a.m. Same alley, same smell. Except this time, I wasn't just some shop owner opening early for tea. I was walking into my own story, and this time I wasn't background. Brielle pulled her hoodie tighter. She had the flash drive in her sock, a backup copy in her bra. "Worst case," she said, "if I go down, the truth doesn't." We slipped through the back of the shop. It looked normal, the plants, the tea rack, the chalkboard that still said, "Try the honey rose blend." But I saw it differently now. Every square foot, every quiet Sunday morning I'd shared with him, it all meant something. This was where he came to feel human. And now it was the place that might save him. We hooked up the laptop, no passwords, no login, just the drive and a hotspot from her burner phone. She started the upload. "You sure you want to stay?" she asked me. I didn't answer right away. Then I said, "If they come, they'll be expecting him." "Not me." She nodded. "Then we give them a decoy." I took off my apron and laid it on the counter. She looked confused. "Tea first," I said. "Just in case." I made a cup, chamomile, extra honey. If they were going to erase us, they'd have to do it with warmth in the air. The bar on the screen said 38%, 57%, 74%. Then the lights flickered. Brielle didn't flinch. "Keep it going," she whispered. There was a sound outside. Tires. Not fast. Slow. Like a crawl. Like they were watching again. We didn't move. 87%. Then the power cut. Total black. The screen went blank. And then, a second later, it came back. Laptop battery. Hotspot still running. Upload resumed. 91%. Then the door opened. 2 men. One in front, one behind. Suits. Clean. Silent. Colburn wasn't with them. I stepped forward, hands visible. "Morning. Tea." They didn't answer, just scanned the room. Eyes went to the laptop. Then to me. "You the owner?" one asked. "Depends who's asking," I said. He stepped closer. "We're here for something. You might have it." I leaned on the counter like I had all the time in the world. A lot of people come in here for things. Most leave with tea. He didn't smile. He looked past me, at Brielle. She stared him down. Then the screen behind me made a sound. Upload complete. He heard it. I swear to you, he knew what that sound meant. He looked at me, and for one moment, I thought he might hit me. But instead, he pulled out a phone, said one word. "Blackbird." That's when the window behind the counter shattered. I hit the floor. Brielle was already under the table, yanking cables. They didn't shoot. They just stormed out. One grabbed the laptop, yanked the drive. But it didn't matter. It was already out there. Multiple mirrors, redundant files, decentralized leak. We didn't need to win a gunfight. We just needed to tell the world. Brielle crawled over to me, breathing hard. "They'll know it's real now," she said. I asked, "And what happens to us?" She looked me in the eye. "We vanish, just like he did." And you know what? I didn't argue, because in that moment, I wasn't afraid. I was done being small. We left everything. The shop, the street, even the name on my license. I didn't tell anyone I was going, didn't post a goodbye, didn't pack more than a backpack. Just walked away with Brielle like I hadn't spent the last decade building a life around chamomile and routine. But I didn't feel lost. I felt awake. We moved at night, train stations, rural roads, places without cameras. You don't realize how watched you are until you start trying not to be. And everywhere we went, we saw it. Not all at once, not loud, but signs. A podcast in Utah reading parts of his transcript like it was leaked audio. A blog post in Germany connecting cognitive pattern harvesting to unexplained disappearances. Even a college kid in Detroit posted a TikTok breaking down the sound file, frame by frame. Said it gave him dreams, said he saw faces he'd never met. It was spreading, exactly how he wanted. We stayed quiet for a while, let the dust settle, but eventually Brielle said she needed to go back, not to the city, but to him. "He's not dead," she told me. "I can feel it." And I believed her, because the way those men acted, that wasn't how you behave when you're mopping up loose ends. That was damage control. That was panic. So we followed the only lead we had. One of the files in his binder had coordinates. They didn't mean much at first, just a location in Nevada, middle of nowhere. But buried in the corner of the document was a name, Echo Facility. We took a bus, then hitchhiked, then walked. It took 2 days. There was no fence, no gate, just a hill of red dust, and behind it, silence, until you stepped closer. Then, low hum. Same static sound I used to hear from that bench when he talked about dream radio. We followed the hum and found a hatch, half covered in rock. Brielle stared at it like it was sacred. "This is it." She knelt down, brushed the dirt aside. Then she stopped. Her hand trembled. There, carved into the metal, barely visible, were 4 letters. B-R-I-E. He'd written her name, proof he'd been here, proof he wanted her to find him. We opened it. Inside was a ladder, steel, old, cold. We climbed for what felt like forever. And then, there he was, alive, gaunt, pale, but sitting, breathing. He looked up like he'd been waiting for us, and when he saw Brielle, he didn't cry. He just smiled. "I knew you'd trace the signal." They took each other's hands. No words, just that kind of silence you only earn after surviving hell. I stood back, watched them, didn't feel like a hero, or a rebel, or anything big, just someone who gave tea to a man on a bench, every Sunday. And sometimes that's enough, because kindness, unnoticed, unasked for, unremarkable, it's the one thing that doesn't get erased. So if you're watching this and you think you don't matter, if you've ever helped someone and felt like it went nowhere, just know, someone remembers, and sometimes that's the thread that pulls everything back. If you were in this situation, what would you do? Have you ever gone through something like this or helped someone who did? Let us know in the comments, like the video if you felt it, and subscribe if you want more life stories that stay with you.